Hey everybody, it's Dr. Melissa McCreary from TooMuchOnHerPlate.com, and I've got a couple of things that I want to share with you today. First off, I want to know whether you've taken the time yet to listen to that free call I did on the 3 emotional eating triggers that everyone who struggles with overeating and emotional eating and weight needs to know about. If you haven't yet made the time to listen to this call, I want to challenge you to take out your calendar or your schedule now and decide when you're going to give yourself the gift of this information. I shared some really important stuff in there. One of the things I shared might be relevant to what we're talking about right now, listening to the call. One of the biggest traps, one of the biggest triggers for emotional eating, particularly for women, is the mindset of perfectionism. The feeling that you have to get everything right to be good enough, and that if it isn't perfect, it doesn't really count. There are so many ways that this creates traps for women. There's so many ways that this is unhelpful, but it's a mindset, it's a way of thinking and a way of approaching life that can really drive somebody, anybody, to overeating, to using food to try to feel better. It creates stress, and if you're a stress eater, that's another way that this can all snowball. It also gets really bright, motivated women stuck when it comes to looking for emotional eating solutions. Perfectionism means that if you didn't get it perfect, you didn't get it at all. And so what happens for a lot of women, because coming to terms with emotional eating, making these kind of changes is a process, okay? No matter how you're approaching it, it's a process and nobody's perfect. But for any of us who have that mindset of perfectionism that crops up, and that's probably 99.9% of us, that perfectionistic voice that natters at us in the back of our mind can make it really hard to see the progress that we're making. It can be really hard to take a look at the tools that we're using that are working, or maybe are partly working, and figure out how we can tweak those or expand those to have them work more. There are a whole lot of other ways that perfectionism gets in the way. One of the things that I tell my clients over and over, and I talk about it on the call, is that the solution to overeating, emotional eating, and making peace with food doesn't start with the food. It almost always, well, almost never starts with figuring out what to eat. It starts with figuring out what is driving the need to eat, what's driving your appetites, what's driving your overeating, and what the food, figuring out what it is that the food is doing for you. There's so much more that I could talk about. I talked about a lot in that free call. If you are registered and you have a copy of the recording, that's great. If you happen to be watching this video and you don't have a copy of the recording, there's a link below on this page where you can sign up and get access to that call. But one piece I want you to pay attention to today is this idea of perfectionism. If you know it's there, I need you to start paying attention to it and stop thinking of it as a virtue. Stop thinking of it as something that keeps you on track, and remind yourself that it's something that's getting in your way. Start allowing for mistakes. Start asking yourself, instead of getting mad at yourself when you hit up against that imperfection, instead of getting mad at yourself, ask yourself what you can learn from it. How can you take what didn't work out and tweak your program so it works a little bit better? I've got lots more emotional eating solutions for you. If you'd like to learn more, I invite you to go to the webpage www.emotionaleatingsolutions.com. That's because there's no one-size-fits-all solution. There's always a range, and you got to pick the one that works for you. So it's emotionaleatingsolutions.com, and I'll be back a little bit later with another video tip. Take really good care.